during those weeks was at Crater Lake in Oregon. Anybody been to Crater Lake before? Beautiful, crystal clear, deep blue color. Amazing. It's the cleanest and clearest lake in our country. That experience has gotten me even more fired up about these two lakes here that we're talking about tonight, making them cleaner, healthier, safer, and more beautiful. And that's our mission at the Lilly Center for Lakes and Streams. Say, if we were to sum it all up, that Wawasee and Syracuse lakes are good, but they're not as good as they could be. And we have some specific examples of things we're tracking. What is this new route that we're going to set? That's what we're going to talk about a little bit here tonight. To sum it up, our future, the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be guiding research that helps lead us to strategic actions. It's deepening education that's going to lead to greater impact. And it's also strengthening collaboration, which leads to better effectiveness when we're working together. All right, so those are our three things. Now let me give you some specific examples of that roadmap over the next 5–10 years. The biggest threat to Wawasee and Syracuse lakes right now is too many nutrients. That's our #1 threat. Unfortunately, we don't have any quantifiable scientific data that lets us know exactly what those sources are. How much are each of those sources? We have a pretty good idea what the sources are, but we are not able yet to quantify those. So what do we need to do to get there, right? Because when we can quantify the sources, then we can have the best strategy to go after those sources. Well, the first thing is we need some better stream flow technology. So these folks here on our research team go out every 2 weeks to the streams around Wawasee and Syracuse lakes, and they're figuring out exactly what's coming into the lakes and what's leaving the lakes, okay? But that's every 2 weeks. There's stream flow technology now where we can put a sensor that stays put in those streams, and it's measuring 24/7, even in the middle of the night, exactly what's coming into the lakes and what's leaving the lakes. We just got an EPA grant to purchase one of those, and so we're going to be installing that here this summer. We're looking at the Turkey Creek inflow coming into Wawasee here, and we're looking for funding for some additional stream sensors as well. So that's the first step. That's looking at external nutrient sources coming into the lake. But there's also internal nutrient sources coming in, okay? That's why we've been doing this boating study this summer, where we're looking at how boats might stir up some of the bottom, bringing nutrients back into the water that once were buried. Okay, so that's an internal source, and we'll be coming out with, we're doing some data analysis. Adrian and I were just talking about that this week, looking at some of the data, and I think you're going to find it really interesting. We're also looking at, potentially looking at wave activity and how that might stir up things on the bottom, okay? And decomposition. So as weeds and algae are out in the lake and they die and sink to the bottom, they decompose, that gives off more nutrients. Once we have all of these sources quantified, we can create a nutrient budget for these two lakes. Just like if I